everybody. Welcome once again to Jackalopes Fire TV. I'm Chuck. With me, as usual, is my darling sister, Scylla. Say hi, Scylla.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? I'm
good, actually. I'm well rested.
Well, that's unusual.
It really is. Oh, I sleep so terribly. No, in fact, it's weird because I didn't go to bed till like 4 in the morning. Because I don't. And I was awake by 10. I rolled over and took another nap. Took an hour and a long nap.
Well, then that doesn't count.
Okay, so I slept till 11. That's 7 hours. That's why I'm well rested. Math. I didn't oversleep. That's the other thing. So, anyway. It's Monday.
It is Monday.
We are done with convention season. Not that we do a lot of conventioning during convention season anyway. And convention season is certainly not over. We're just done.
I don't think there actually is a convention season because they kind of go all year round.
Yeah, depending on, like, especially the Wizard World guys.
Yeah.
They do at least one a month.
Right.
And sometimes more.
Right. So there's not really a convention season per se, but our convention season is done.
Right. We've done our 2 for the year.
Hey, that's more than we did the year before.
Exactly.
Hopefully in the next year we'll get to add 1 or 2 more. Baby steps.
So if you haven't by now, go check it out. We did the Austin Comic-Con hosted by Wizard World, and we have already posted the 2 videos for the panels that we did. Plus there was an interview that we did that we posted. Quick shout out to the guys at Stalking John Barrowman. What a great idea. I know that it's already been done over in Cardiff, and they're trying to bring it over to the States. Unfortunately, it didn't get funded, but they had enough backers and interest in it that it looks like they can probably still pull it off. They're just going to have to pull funding in from other places. The Kickstarter didn't exactly succeed, but...
No, but... and as you can see in the interview, they're very devoted to making it happen. And they did say even if the Kickstarter didn't fully fund them, they were going to find a way, one way or another, to make it happen.
Right.
And
so if you're in the Austin area, keep an eye out for that. Stalking John Barrowman. It's going to start in Austin, and who knows? It may go nationwide.
Who knows? But we definitely want to help get the word out.
Absolutely.
I'd love to see it happen.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. And if it does come to Austin, then that's something that you and I might actually have to go to.
Oh, absolutely. Me for sure. I'll be there.
You know me. It depends on timing and dates and all that.
Right. But, yeah, sounds like something very humorous.
Yeah.
Sure. And the fact that John himself knows about it and sees the humor in it, I think makes it all the better.
Right, absolutely. And apparently his parents actually saw it?
Yes, his parents have seen it.
I think that's great.
He hasn't had time, not because he doesn't want to, but the guy does everything. He's always hosting something. Now he's a full-fledged cast member on Arrow. Yep. He does like 1,000,001 things in the UK, plus he just released another album. Guy's always busy, so I'm not surprised he hasn't had time to go catch a play.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And let's face it, unfortunately, it only ran for like 5 days.
Right.
It was a limited run. It's not like it closed early. They only ran it for 5 days.
Right.
So there was no time for him to do it. It just wasn't going to happen. It's more likely to happen if it becomes popular enough stateside.
Right.
So, anyway.
Yeah.
So Stalking John Barrowman, keep an eye out for it. Go check out their Facebook. I think they actually have a link or updates going on the Facebook.
And they do have a Twitter account. You can check them out there as well. So, yeah, definitely keep an eye out if you're in the Austin area. Or even if you're not. I think it's just a great project to keep an eye on. If it does go nationwide or worldwide, who knows?
So the crowd this year, it felt a little smaller.
It did.
And I figured out why. I got this flash of brilliance. I figured out why.
Just like out of here.
Yeah. The weekend before, San Antonio had their big one. Not the Wizard World one, but the big San Antonio Comic-Con was the weekend before Wizard World Austin. So I think the timing was actually part of the reason that it was such a small, or not a small turnout, but not as big
considerably
as it was.
smaller than last year.
Plus ACL weekend.
ACL weekend, and I still say, then we'll get to test this theory next year. because they're doing it again. But I think doing the convention on Thursday, Friday, Saturday hurts it, as opposed to Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
The only way it would really hurt it is if they're relying on those turnouts on that first day as opposed to Sunday.
Well,
because
but
Sunday didn't have a big turnout last year, from what I understand. So Sunday and Thursday probably balanced each other. Friday and Saturday should have been the same.
Except for the fact that you're wrong. I don't know how else to phrase that.
I wasn't at Sunday last year, and I wasn't at Thursday this year, so I can't be...
And I was.
Okay.
And I can tell you, while Sunday is certainly not as big as Saturday, it was considerably bigger than Thursday was this year. There was a massive, massive difference.
Yeah. And we said, when they first scheduled it like that, we said that seems odd.
And they're doing it again next year.
Yeah.
It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday again for next year, which, again, is still odd.
Yeah. But, it is what it is. We'll see how it works out.
But they were competing with the San Antonio convention the week before, Geeks only have so much expendable income.
Right.
And
the fringe geeks, the ones that aren't as diehard, probably had to make choices between the Austin City Limits Music Festival, or ACL, and
right.
the Comic-Con, and ACL probably won.
Probably. I wasn't too impressed by ACL's lineup this year, but I know a lot of people were.
Yeah, they actually had some pretty good acts, from what I understand.
I know Eminem was a headliner. Lorde was there, who I don't like, but I know she's uber popular right now. My thoughts exactly.
However, still better than Rebecca Black. Is that her name? The Friday chick?
Yes. Seems like an out of nowhere comment.
Well, no, it's kind of like when we compare actors. Still better than Stephen Amell. Still better than Rebecca Black.
I don't think we've talked about this. He's finally watched Arrow and agrees with me on the awful acting of Stephen Amell. So we've decided.
Now we're gonna devote a whole show to Arrow and Flash.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about the show itself, but I just want to explain real quick. We've decided that we're gauging all actors based on Stephen Amell.
So far, we found one that's worse.
Yes, one.
I could probably tell you his name.
It's the one from
actor bashing. Yay!
It's from The Room, right?
Yeah, it's called The Room.
Yeah.
It's a 2003 independent film. There he is, Tommy Wiseau. Wiseau. So that's what it is. It's weird ass last names. Can't act.
That's not true, because Robbie Amell can act.
Oh, really?
Robbie Amell is actually pretty good. Steven is not.
They should kill off Ollie and bring in an unknown twin brother or something.
Right? I don't understand it, because you don't usually... If you have a family of actors, usually they're maybe not on the same level, but similar, like the Hemsworth brothers. Liam and Chris they're both pretty good actors.
I submit the Baldwin clan as proof that you're wrong. Because while Alec is the actor, he's the man when it comes to acting. Steven is not as good,
but he can act.
Daniel I've never liked. I've never thought Daniel was a good actor. To me, the majority of the talent, the lion's share of the talent, went to Alec.
Fair enough.
Although there's a brother that I've never seen because he's only done stage work.
Yeah, there are 4. The Amell brothers, Robbie is considerably better than Steven, and Robbie's show got canceled, and Steven's the one with the hit show, so go figure.
Yeah.
Although Robbie Amell is going to be on The Flash, so...
Okay. Have to wait and see.
Yeah. Anyway,
we are going to talk more about Arrow and the Flash later.
We are. Upcoming episode. The rest of this episode, however, I want to discuss our panels.
Yeah. Yay.
And there you have it.
Have a nice day, folks.
No, we did 2 panels this year, which is the first time we've done 2 panels at one convention.
Chuck was so exhausted.
But it got rid of the nerves, didn't it?
Well, I wasn't really all that nervous. You were way more nervous than I was. I was just, by the end of the day, I was
You were
tired.
nervous going into it. Every time I asked you how you felt about it, you said you were a little nervous.
No, you kept asking me, "Are you nervous?" No.
No, that is so.
That is.
not
I
how it
asked Jill. Jill, write in, tell her that I'm right.
leading up to that day.
Oh, now, I never said I was nervous. I was anxious about the concept of doing 2 in one day. Because I thought I would be too tired to deliver in the second one. Turns out I wasn't too tired because we rested up, which I think was the best thing we could have done.
Yeah.
But that was my concern. I wasn't nervous about the panels themselves. I was nervous about doing 2 in one day. So it worked out, but...
So the first panel we did was a bit controversial. Intentionally so. If you've watched any episodes of this, basically, you know that while I certainly do believe in women's rights and all that, and obviously I'm a female myself, I don't always have popular opinions about feminism, as it were. I've decided that I am a conservative feminist, if you want to label me. It's probably the only label that fits.
I'm not sure that's a real label.
It is now.
Okay.
And so this was the first panel where we actually had a PowerPoint to go along with the presentation. I thought that was interesting dynamic. I know that the concept of the panel, the topic was stereotypical roles of females in comic books and within the fandom itself. And I knew it was going to be controversial when I picked the topic, but I had opinions I wanted to be said, and I knew it was going to stir up some stuff, and it did, and I know that I pissed some people off, especially in certain parts where I saw some people walk out. I caught that.
I wasn't paying attention. Did they actually walk out in a huff?
There was...
Like, fuck this shit, I'm gone?
Pretty much. There was one part of the panel where I saw like 10 people get up and leave at once.
Wow. Well, they could have all been as a group and wanted to go to a different...
different parts of the room.
It's hard not to take that a little personally.
But it was exactly where I expected it to happen.
And that is why I wasn't paying as close attention to the crowd itself. I was more just, obviously we do our Q&A thing, but I was more interested in the discussion than trying to watch for reactions.
Oh, I was watching the reaction, and the part where people walked out was when I started in about Gail Simone, and I knew that was going to happen because there's a lot of Simone supporters out there. She's got her fan base, and I am not one of them. In fact, I'm very much not a fan.
Right.
And so I knew when I brought up my opinions on Gail, I was going to piss some people off, and I did. But it wasn't unexpected. But the reaction to my opinions weren't unexpected. There was one girl that, had I not been presenting in I don't know if professional is the right term, but a representative type setting, would have debated with her like hell because she was pissing me off.
Well, that's fine. That it wasn't the forum for something like that, but certainly that's a discussion that would have been interesting. And
I know there's a time and place, which is why I kept my cool. And
did you get her contact information?
No.
Because see, now that would be an interesting episode.
No.
Have the two of you sit down in neutral ground.
I'm surprised that you don't know exactly who I'm talking about.
I assume you're talking about the one that was all the way in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't get her information either.
She pissed me off.
I actually think Sarah did.
Oh, I'll have to
check with Sarah.
I'll have to get with her.
This was my favorite slide.
For obvious reasons. Yeah. For those of you, since you can't see it, it's a very skimpy Batgirl cosplay. Very skimpy. And so I want your opinion. How do you think the first panel went? What was your takeaway from it?
I think the first panel, in my opinion, I think the first panel was actually better than the second one. Overall.
Oh, really? I disagree.
See, and I loved the first panel. I thought we had number one, we had a great turnout. Specifically, we had a huge
we did
audience.
have a great turnout. There was over 100 people.
Yeah, at one point there was well over 100 people, and I think we maintained somewhere between 80 and 90, I think Sarah was saying. So it was a great crowd. The room was, while not packed, it was very full. And it was gratifying to see that. And not only did it get full, they stayed for the most part. Most people stayed from front to end.
Yeah, most people stayed for the whole thing. Even more people stayed for most of it. And it was when I hit the Gail Simone thing. We did lose some people, which I expected, but even then, most of the people stayed. So it was a very nice turnout.
It also
allowed me to piss off a lot more people than I thought I was going to get to piss off. So yay!
Well, and another reason that I thought it was a more successful panel was because of the discussion. I think that it sparked.
Did anybody actually
really
agree with any of my points, though? I don't think anybody agreed with me on anything.
No, yeah, there was actually some agreement in the audience, and we got that. We did get some dissension, and that's welcome. That's exactly what we were looking for.
Oh yes.
While some of these views are very much how we really feel, they're not all exactly how we feel, or at least not me.
I was.
I went a little further over, intentionally sparking debate.
He played devil's advocate a little bit. Yeah. I didn't. Because this is a topic I feel very passionate about.
And that's fine.
And so for me, it was a way to get my views out there because I do feel like some of my views are in a minority, and it was a way to voice them and have them be heard.
Right. And again, I think that this one was a little more successful just because not only did you get that chance to get your voice out there, but we also got really good feedback from the crowd.
We did.
And I think that will... If we ever deliver that particular one again, then it will give us a chance to kind of tweak the presentation a little bit and make it that much more
I will say
powerful.
One thing I did get on the panel, I still disagree with it, but one thing that I at least understand the other side of now a little better is that controversy over the Spider-Woman picture.
Right, the Milo Manero.
I still think it went too far. I still think people got too upset and made way too big a deal of it. I still personally don't see a problem with it. I think it's one of those things we should have, as female community or however you want to phrase it, should have let that particular issue go. But at least I understand a little bit more now why they were upset.
Right.
I may not agree, but I can see their side. So I did get, it was good for me in the sense that I saw a little bit from the perspective of the people I feel like I'm fighting against. And I feel like I'm on a two-front war personally as a female comic fan because I feel like I'm fighting the males that don't want to accept that there are female comic fans and do discriminate in certain ways. And I also feel like I'm fighting other females. I'm fighting the feminists that I feel like take it too far and are hurting my battle. So this was a way for me to kind of have my voice be heard.
I'm middle of the road and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Exactly! That's pretty much it. And it's hard
it
is hard to be in the middle when we're a country of such extremists.
Right. We are a country that has over the 200 plus years that we've been around, we have forced ourselves into a bipartisan.
Right, you're one way or the other, and you take it to extremes, whichever side you're on.
Exactly.
There's no more middle ground, and that's where I fall.
With that whole you're either against me or you're either with me or you're against me thing. There is no, you don't really agree with me, but you don't really disagree, so you stand over here.
Right.
There's not enough room in this country for Ross Perot. Ross Perot being the.
I was say, did you just compare me to Ross Perot?
Well, hang on. Ross Perot being the guy who represented that middle of the road group. Not middle of the road. That's a bad way to say that. That third option. We'll call it that. So over the years, there's always been, you got your Republicans and you've got your Democrats, and Ross Perot was that other choice for several elections, and and there have been other candidates that are that other choice. Ross Perot is just one of the more popular ones, more famous ones.
But it does seem like everything in this country is divided into two camps: Republicans, Democrats. Even down to simple stuff, Coke and Pepsi, cats and dogs. Right. I mean, everything, you're one or the other. There is no both, or I see both sides, or I'm in the middle and I see some from the side and some from the side. Right. It's everything is one or the other.
We're a polarized country. We really are. It's left or right, and that's just all there is to it.
And I'm not.
And that's fine.
It was a way I feel to get that middle voice heard. And there's not a lot of forums for that, so I was grateful to have the opportunity, even if I did piss some of the feminists off, and I know I did. And I'm okay with that.
The thing is, in my opinion, as long as there is a healthy discussion about it, and it's not a failure.
And I will say that I expected it to get a lot nastier than it did. We had one question, comment, whatever, that was kind of nasty from a male, oddly enough.
From a DC fan.
Go figure. Yeah, I pissed off the DC fan more than I did the feminists. I didn't expect.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it was very respectful, which I very much appreciated.
Right. We weren't attacked.
Which I completely expected. I expected it to get nasty in there, and it didn't. So...
Yeah. So again, a healthy discussion is always welcome, and I think that this particular one was a great topic. I had my doubts about the topic in general, but you proved me wrong. Yeah, I think it went really well. And like I said, of the two, while I think they both were good, I think of the two, I liked the first one a little better.
Now the second one was a follow-up to last year and the one we did in San Antonio earlier this year, fan fiction in the mainstream. And this, by design, was meant to be more of a discussion. I purposely went in with very little actual agenda, as it were, to talk about, so that it was an open discussion. And,
right, really just set it up and said, okay, here's what we're seeing as far as mainstream fanfic. Let's talk a little bit more about it and get your views and things like that.
Right, and people did not disappoint. No. When you go in with a panel like that, there's always the fear that, okay, I don't have a whole lot here. If there's no audience participation, what am I going to talk about?
I was fully prepared to bust out into Ice Ice Baby. I had your back.
But the crowd did not disappoint.
Nope, we had a pretty decent turnout. Not nearly as big as the first crowd, but still, I like 30 or 40 people, something like that.
Near 40, about average for a fan fiction panel. We usually get about 40 in those, and we did once again. It was great. I got some great questions this time that I haven't had before. I think we had a lot of people in there that weren't just fanfic writers, but writers in general, as opposed to some of the previous times we've done this. And I got some great questions about writing in general, my writing, and I love answering questions about stuff like that.
They asked us and respected our opinions on how to get their names out there a little more. And it turned out to be a really good discussion.
It was. I loved it. It was. But, for me, that type of panel is a little different because, as you said in the panel many times, you're the reader, not the writer. And I am a writer. And so for me, I kind of felt like I was in my element in that panel. Right. And so I was very comfortable, very pleased with the questions, with the discussion, with the suggestions offered by other people. I was very at ease in that panel, and so I liked it a lot. I think it turned out very well, better than my expectations by far, because I really didn't go in knowing what to expect, because I've never done a panel where I didn't have everything mapped out from start to finish.
Right.
And this one, I took a little bit of a chance, and I feel like it paid off.
Yeah.
So I was very, very pleased with that panel. Both audiences were amazing. Whether I agreed or disagreed with you, everyone except for one person was quite respectful and very nice, and a pleasure to have there.
And to his credit, I'm gonna put this into context so y'all understand what we're talking about. If you haven't yet seen the video, and I'm not sure that his audio picked up good enough, that is something we're gonna work on next time we do one of those. We're gonna improve the audio of the audience. But anyway, what it was we were talking about at that particular moment, we were talking about how the New 52 in DC has kind of changed the way women are treated in their books. Specifically referencing some of the strong female heroes that have disappeared, some of the strong female heroes that have become less strong, like Barbara
Gordon. We've lost Mia. We lost Cass. Stephanie for quite a while.
Stephanie was gone for a while. She's come back, and she's still not quite the Stephanie that the fans wanted. The dumbing down of Starfire and Barbara Gordon specifically. Starfire in particular was taken from being a powerful yet sexy superhero
to be an eye candy.
She became eye candy. She's a whore. There's no cleaner way to say that. They turn her into a she's a hoe, and I hate that. Starfire has always been one of my favorite of the Titan characters, and they ruined that character.
They ruined Barbara Gordon for me.
Right. But anyway, so we're talking specifically about DC and some of the strange things that they've decided to do. And we get this comment or question from the back. Yeah, well, have you read anything from DC lately?
No, the question was actually, have you actually read any of the New 52?
Have you read any of the New 52? And I shut him up fairly quickly because I did. I stuck with New 52 for almost 2 years. I stopped paying for it pretty quickly. But I was reading New 52 ongoing for several years, for the first 2 years or so.
And that's the thing. We don't talk about DC without any point of reference. You read it for a while. I'm reading some of it now, and even before I was reading it, I was researching it.
Right, exactly.
Whether I was reading synopsises or specific panels or
reviews on certain books.
Reviews.
Yeah.
I may not have been reading the books themselves, but I was reading. I was keeping myself informed about the product because I wanted to read it again.
Right. And let's face it, we're not the only ones who have these opinions. There was a whole panel at the Comic-Con that was devoted to DC versus Marvel and how Marvel's doing it better. Now, this was in particular talking about the live action,
right?
But that's an extension of what the books are doing. They're just really just extrapolating from the books. And while I think Marvel is delivering a better live action product than it is in the books. Because they're doing some strange shit in the books.
No worse than DC though, and they're still doing it better.
It's actually better than DC, yeah. But that does kind of show Marvel's doing it better in the books. They're doing it better in live action. DC is being really stupid with their books and really stupid with their live action. Mm-hmm. Shocker. Neither company is doing a polar opposite of each other. Or a polar opposite of themselves between the books and the movies.
Right.
So we're not the only ones that have the opinions, but he was clearly pissed off. He kept rolling. It's the one person in the crowd that I focused on. He kept rolling his eyes at us. Just every time we said something in the slightest bit against DC Comics, he was clearly upset by it. He and his compatriot that was sitting next to him, who, to his credit, kept shut. But anyway, to the guy's credit, he only said one thing. He wasn't dirty or mean-spirited or anything like that throughout the whole thing. He had one snarky comment or question, and then kept his mouth shut and stuck around to hear what we had to say.
And I will say that much, and it was one comment. Mostly, I just found it funny.
Yeah.
The venom in his voice when he asked it was funny to me.
Right.
Because it can't be the first time that he's heard anti-DC sentiments, because we're not the only ones with this opinion.
Right. And it's not like we were bashing DC. We were simply pointing out that there have been bad choices. Yes, most of our examples came from DC, but that's only because DC seems to be the worst offender right now. Mm-hmm. But the one super critical image that we showed was the Milo Manara Spider-Woman cover. That's Marvel.
Right.
So we didn't leave Marvel out of the discussion.
No, everybody's guilty. And I can't think of, even independent publishers, I can't think of any comic book publisher that isn't guilty of misrepresenting women in some way right now.
Yeah.
But you know what? And I still feel this, honestly. I didn't bring this up at the panel, but I should have. It kind of goes to men, too, because think about the image that we get in Bruce, Dick, Clark. That's not a realistic male figure either.
No, they're really not. And comic books were never intended to be realistic. I will say this. When we talk about, like, the smaller companies, although Zenescope is certainly on the rise still, Zenescope is one of my favorite comic companies. Because of the artists that they choose, they embrace the concept that, yeah, we're going to sexualize these characters. Get over it. They embrace it. They're dealing with it, but they make really strong female characters at the same time. I don't think any of their female characters are victims. They are all badasses, especially the Alice series, the Alice in Wonderland series that they ran. She was a badass. All the different versions of that have been badasses. The Jungle Book, Mogwai they made Mogwai into a female instead, but she's a badass. Yes, she's sexy, but she's a badass. And that's, I'll give Zenescope credit on that one. They have struck that balance, and I think it works beautifully.
I think a feminist would disagree with you. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah.
I think a feminist would still disagree.
Well, yeah, a feminist, if you don't, and you know what, if you're a feminist and you disagree with what I have to say, that's fine. Keep it to yourself. I don't care. But the feminists out there, it seems to me that if you don't hide all references to sexuality in a woman, then you're clearly misogynistic and you're just exploiting her for her sexuality. And that's bullshit, because let's face it, women are sexy. Just, they are.
Which is the point that I was trying to make. And I think I even said something very similar to that in the panel, is women are just prettier.
Yeah. The female form is it is more attractive. It's going to attract more attention. It's just the way it is. Get over it.
And if you get nothing else out of that panel, that's kind of what I was getting at.
But drawing it in a sexy way and treating it as a sex object are two different things, and that's what we wanted to get clear. We don't necessarily agree with over sexualizing the character, but eliminating the sexuality is also not the way to go.
Middle ground. But I've seen panels with Dick Grayson in the shower that were completely unnecessary to the story.
Yeah, just fan service.
So it happens on both ends.
Yep. But anyway, like I said, we have different opinions. I think the first panel went a little better. You think the second panel went a little better. But either way, both panels were great.
We both agree they both were great. Yes,
absolutely. And neither of them sucked.
I do want to once again thank the whole Wizard World crew for having us, especially Brittany, who I worked with to get everything set up. She has said she'd love to have us back again next year, so hopefully we can take her up on that.
I plan to keep on going until they say, no, you can't come back.
Mm-hmm. So once again, Wizard World, thank you very much for having us. We had a blast.
Absolutely.
And thank you to everyone that was there for the panels. It led to some really interesting, great discussion, which is really what it's all about.
Yes.
And to any new viewers we have to JOF TV, because you heard about us at the convention, welcome. And stay tuned, because there is a lot coming your way. I know with Arrow and now Flash starting up, we're going to have a lot. Kind of replaces our Smallville. We used to talk about Smallville a lot. Now we have two new comic shows plus Gotham.
Yeah, so really three comic shows this season that we're going to talk about
from
more.
DC alone.
Yeah.
Then there's all the Marvel stuff coming.
Yep. Some exciting stuff happening with Marvel. Announced this weekend. That's kind of cool.
I'm still reading some comic books, so I still have some comic reviews coming.
Yep.
We've got all the non-geek stuff that we talk about from time to time, current issues, which there's a lot of in this country right now.
Absolutely.
And in our state right now. So definitely, and I feel as I know I am now a hockey fan hardcore. So you're definitely going to hear about hockey from me. And I'm actually starting to pay more attention to football. So you may even get some JOF TV sports.
You know, you and I are going to have some fights about football.
It's going to be great.
We don't support the same team.
Go Cowboys and Aggies.
Saints all the way. Mississippi State.
Yeah. So it should be fun. JOF TV is, for those of you that are just tuning in, is an eclectic array of everything. It always has been, and I think it's only going to continue to get more eclectic, so you won't want to miss anything.
Absolutely. We're going to try and start bringing these a little more frequently. We're going to try. We keep saying that.
Well, we had some technical difficulties that have since been resolved. Scheduling conflicts are starting to be resolved.
Yep.
So we should be able to get you at least one new piece of content, even if it's a short one, a week.
Right.
So that's the goal.
Couple things before we wrap up, just a couple of quick little things. Number one, it is October. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'm wearing my pink, you can't really tell that's pink, but trust me, it is. My Hope for Tomorrow band supporting breast cancer. If you haven't done the research, breast cancer is still out there. It's still a killer. We need to keep raising money and fight this particular disease and save the lives of those that we love. I support specifically the Susan G. Komen Foundation, who works hand in hand with the Breast Cancer Foundation, Breast Cancer Research Foundation, whatever the hell they're called. So take time, do the research, devote your time, your money, whatever you can to help fight and find a cure. Also, quick shout out to both Sarah and Jill, who were with us at the Comic-Con this last time around. Thank you very much for both of you for coming and helping and showing up. You were a great help to both of us throughout the weekend. So
absolutely,
we really appreciate your help and you showing up. And
great Jackalope team.
Absolutely, you got a PA and all right. So hang on, I got to remember this. So Jill is your personal assistant, and Sarah's official title was
networking consultant or something like that.
Okay, so there you go. And let me tell you, without Jill and Sarah, we would still have business cards. we find ourselves running low on business cards because they were all handed out that past weekend. So that's amazing. Thank you so much. If you got one of our cards and that's what brought you here, thank you so much. Welcome, and we hope you keep staying tuned.
Yes, and as always, keep an eye out on jackalopesafire.com or YouTube site, youtube.com/JOFTV.
Right. And Facebook and Twitter.
We're on Facebook, Twitter, we're everywhere.
Standing on the corner of 35th and Vine, maybe. I'm not even sure we have a Vine Street in Austin.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you here again next time.